welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a review on the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina collection volume 3 eyeshadow palette. If you do want to see a review and a demo, please keep watching. This eyeshadow palette retails for $60 on Anastasia Beverly Hills website, and it's only exclusive at Sephora online and Sephora in stores. I do want to read a little bit about this eyeshadow palette. A professional grade artistry palette featuring 25 deluxe size high performance shades with maximum payoff and a stunning autumn themed color story. It contains 25 professional pigments in oversized pans to offer limitless possibilities. It includes a wide range of bold, vibrant, autumn-inspired colors with high pigment. It's perfect for the artist who wants the ultimate color collection and for the makeup fanatic who is ready to take their makeup creativity to the next level. Here's a closer look on what the packaging looks like, and then when you turn it on the back, you do have the ingredients. Let's go ahead and open this up. It just opens like so on the side here, and it slides right on out. Here's what the actual eyeshadow palette looks like. It looks the exact same as the outer packaging. This eyeshadow palette is huge, and it does have a little bit of weight to it. On the back, it's just black. It says Norvina Volume 3. Let's go ahead and open this up. Oops, it looks like we lost the little protector. Wow, look how huge this mirror is. Here we have all 25 shades in this palette. I am super excited to play with this palette. I'm not a makeup artist, so this is for the makeup lover inside of me. Right after I purchased this eyeshadow palette online, the next day, Norvina announced that she was going to release 2 mini versions of this entire volume Norvina collection. I was very upset with myself. I should have waited until the next launch was going to happen. Maybe she was going to release a volume 4, but 2 mini eyeshadow palettes, I knew I should have waited, and I did not. So now I think I might pick up those 2 eyeshadow palettes during the Sephora VIB sale. I'm not sure yet, depending on the quality of these shades. So let's go ahead and start swatching. The first shade in this eyeshadow palette is called A1. Wow, this is so soft in the pan. Here's what that shade looks like. A1 is described as a matte chartreuse yellow. It's not as pigmented as I thought it would be. I mean, for $60, I would expect every shade in this eyeshadow palette should be pigmented. Let me do another swipe. Let's blend it out too, just in case. I guess that shade is a little bit better. It is a little bit subtle. Let's see what the next shade looks like. The next shade is called A2. It's not as buttery as the first shade was. It's a little bit scratchy in the pan. Wow, that is more pigmented than the first shade. A2 is described as an orange shade. It seems that it can be built up and blended out. That's a gorgeous matte shadow. Let's see what the next shade looks like. The next shade is called A3. This one is very smooth. And here's what that shade looks like. A3 is described as a harvest pumpkin shade. That is very pretty, and look at the blend on that. It's gorgeous. And it's super pigmented too. The next shade is A4. This is not as buttery as the previous shade, but look at that pigment. A4 is described as a fresh green with a silver sparkle. Let's blend her out. It's not that pigmented. Let's do another build. That's a little bit better now. The next shade is A5. A little bit scratchy in the pan, but it's very pigmented. A5 is described as a red-orange shadow. Wow, that is so pigmented with that one swipe. Let's blend her out. Super intense. Moving on to the next row, the first shade is called B1. Wow, that is so smooth in the pan for a metallic shadow. Here's what B1 looks like. B1 is described as a metallic aqua shadow. Wow, that is gorgeous. I love the pigment, and it's super metallic too. The next shade is B2. It's a little bit scratchy in the pan, but it's pigmented. B2 is described as a matte jade with a gold sparkle. The next shade is B3. It's very smooth in the pan. And here we have B3. B3 is described as a flamingo pink shade. The next shade is B4. You guys know I love purple. Here's what B4 looks like. Purple does not disappoint me. B4 is described as a royal fuchsia shade. I can see myself playing with this entire row right here. The next shade is called B5. This is so buttery in the pan, you guys. Wow. This would be a great transition shade. B5 is described as a light apricot shade. That's beautiful. This mirror in this eyeshadow palette is so heavy. Compared to how lightweight the eyeshadow pans do feel, the mirror is very heavy. Norvina or Anastasia could have included a lightweight mirror. This mirror is so heavy for this palette. Each time I am swatching the next shade, this is turning into an arm workout. I wish that there was some way for me to detach the mirror because the shadows don't feel that heavy like the mirror does. But anyways, let's move on to the third row in this eyeshadow palette. Moving on to the third row in this eyeshadow palette, the next shade is called C1. Ooh, very buttery in the pan. Here's what C1 looks like. C1 is described as a metallic, sparkling white wine shade. Beautiful. This would be a great inner corner highlight. The next shade is called C2. Very buttery in the pan. Here's what C2 looks like. C2 is described as a candy apple shade. Wow. So pigmented. The next shade is C3. Again, very buttery in the pan. C3, super pigmented. Here's what C3 looks like. Wow, it's gorgeous. Since I am running out of arm space, I'm going to be swatching the next 12 shades on the right side of my arm. The next shade is called C4. A little bit scratchy in the pan. Here's what C4 looks like. Super pigmented again. C4 is described as a mulberry shade. Let's see if we can get it to blend out. Wasn't as pigmented. It's a little bit patchy. Let me try that again. It's an okay shadow. The next shade is called C5. Very buttery in the pan again. Here's what C5 looks like. C5 is described as a titanium teal with gold sparkle. Moving on to the fourth row, the first shade is called D1. Again, super buttery in the pan. Here's what D1 looks like. D1 is described as a cider shadow. The next shade is called D2. Again, very buttery in the pan. Here's what D2 looks like. Super pigmented as well. D2 is described as a pale peach with a gold sparkle. That's another gorgeous shade. Next shade is called D3. Very buttery in the pan again. D3 is described as a true lime green shade. It's not as pigmented, so I do want to build it up. Beautiful. The next shade is called D4. This one's not as buttery in the pan, but it is extremely pigmented. D4 is described as a metallic orange with a gold sparkle. The next shade is called D5. Super buttery in the pan. Look at that pigmentation. D5 is described as a peach nectar with gold sparkle. First shade in the last row is called E1. Again, very smooth, very buttery in the pan. Here's what E1 looks like. Extremely pigmented. E1 is described as a shamrock green shade. I do want to build that green up just a bit so we can see what it looks like. Beautiful. Right next to E1 we have E2. Again, very buttery in the pan. I cannot stop saying how buttery these shades are. E2 is described as a Merlot shade. E3 is described as a coral shade. Very buttery in the pan again. Here's what E3 looks like. Let's actually swatch E4 and E5 together. Again, they are very buttery. Here we have E4 and E5. E4 is the yellow shade and E5 is a purple metallic shade. I do want to build up the shade in E4. It's described as a dandelion shade. And let's build up E5 too. E5 is described as a metallic magenta shade. Here we have all 25 shades swatched on the back of my hands. Now we're going to create a look using this eyeshadow palette. The first shade I am going to be using is the shade in C3. I'm going to be applying that all over my crease. Wow, that is so pigmented. I just went like this and wow, look how much it's picking up. I'm barely using any pressure with this brush. I'm loving how C3 blended out. It looks gorgeous. Next shade I'm going to be taking is a shade in D3. I'm going to be applying that all over my lid. I don't think I want to apply that shade all over the lid. I think I'm just going to pop that in the center. We already have D3 in the center. In my outer corner, I'll use a different shade. This lime green shade is so pigmented, I did not even wet my brush. I'm using this shade dry. I am blown away at how pigmented this shade is. Using that same brush, I'm going to be dipping into the shade in B2. I'm going to be applying the shade in B2 on my outer V. I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to cover up the cinnamon shadow that we put in our crease. I'm loving how both of these green shades blend so well together. I'm going to go back in with the shade in A4, and we're going to build up the pigment in the center. I do want to build up the first shade that we did use, making sure not to cover up the shade that we have in our transition shade. This lime green shade is everything to me. I do want to use one more shade, and that's the shade in C5. I'm going to be applying that in my inner corner. I actually decided not to use the shade in C5 in my inner corner, but to use that shade to bring it up where I can combine the lime green shade and this beautiful sparkly teal shade together. Probably in my inner corner, I'll add something else, but I do really like this shade in C5 as well. Now for my inner corner, I'm going to apply the shade in D5. I'm going to clean everything up and I'll let you guys know my final thoughts on this eyeshadow palette. I cleaned everything up underneath my eyes. This eyeshadow palette did have a little bit of fallout. Normally the other eyeshadow palettes that I have used from Anastasia Beverly Hills, they do have a ton of fallout. This was minimal. I can deal with the fallout. For mascara today, I applied the Smashbox Superfan Mascara. I love this mascara. It just fans out my lashes and you can still see the colors I applied. For lips today, I currently have on the Bite Beauty in the shade Cocoa Bite. I reviewed their Holiday 2019 collection. If you guys have not seen yesterday's video, I'll link it right over here in the cards. My final thoughts on the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina Volume 3 eyeshadow palette is that I really love this palette. They're super pigmented, super blendable, and definitely super versatile for me. I can use this for my everyday looks. I can use this for my evening looks, my just colorful looks if I want to dip into color a little bit. I would highly recommend you guys checking out this eyeshadow palette. I do have to go into Sephora and check out the mini ABH palettes. If you guys did enjoy this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe. I will see you guys in my next video.